Every major disaster teaches a lesson. And for those paying attention, those lessons often turn into survival strategies. From famine to war to natural catastrophes, humanity has faced it all, and out of those struggles, the prepping mindset was born. Today, we're looking at 10 historical disasters that created preppers, moments where tragedy convinced people to never be caught off guard again. 10. The Irish Potato Famine, 1845 to 1852. When a potato blight swept through Ireland, it wiped out the staple crop that nearly half the population relied on for survival. Over 1 million people died, and another million fled the country. Entire families starved because they had placed all their faith in a single food source. Those who had access to other crops, livestock, or preserved food stood a better chance of survival. The famine became a defining lesson in food diversification and storage. Modern preppers often cite it as proof of why you can't rely on just one food source, no matter how abundant it seems today. 9. The San Francisco Earthquake, 1906. In less than a minute, a massive earthquake struck Northern California, collapsing buildings and rupturing gas lines. Fires raged for 3 days, consuming entire neighborhoods. Water systems broke down, leaving thousands without drinking water. Survivors who had hidden food, extra water, or basic supplies were far better off. The earthquake drove home the importance of urban disaster readiness, and for the first time, city governments encouraged residents to keep personal survival kits, an idea that eventually evolved into 72-hour kits, common among preppers today. 8. The Dust Bowl, 1930s. The Dust Bowl was more than just a drought. Years of poor farming practices combined with high winds created massive dust storms that stripped fertile soil and turned farms into barren wastelands. Families were forced to abandon their homes, and entire communities collapsed. But the ones who managed to hold on were those who had stored food, practiced canning, collected rainwater, and diversified their crops. The Dust Bowl pushed people toward self-sufficiency and homesteading, laying the groundwork for modern prepper values of sustainability and resilience. 7. World War II rationing, 1940s. During World War II, ration cards controlled access to everything from gasoline to sugar. Families quickly learned that if you didn't grow your own food or find creative ways to stretch supplies, you went without. This era birthed the Victory Garden movement, with millions of Americans planting backyard gardens to supplement their rations. Home canning became essential, and storing bulk foods was encouraged. These habits directly influenced modern prepping, where gardening and food storage remain cornerstones. 6. The Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962. For 13 days, the world teetered on the brink of nuclear war. Americans tuned into the news every night wondering if missiles were minutes away. The fear sparked a wave of survivalism, with thousands digging fallout shelters, stockpiling canned food, and preparing for radiation survival. Even though nuclear war didn't break out, the crisis normalized prepping behavior in Cold War America. Suddenly, it wasn't just paranoid survivalists, it was suburban families installing bunkers in their backyards. Before we move on, quick question. If disaster struck tomorrow, how long could you last with the supplies in your home? If you want to learn from history and be ready for the unexpected, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We post 3 times a week, diving into history, politics, and survival stories. Let's continue to number 5. 5. The Great Northeast Blackout, 1965. One moment the lights were on, and the next, 30 million people across the US and Canada were plunged into darkness. For over 13 hours, cities were at a standstill. Elevators stopped, trains froze, and people realized just how dependent they were on electricity. Households that had candles, flashlights, stored water, or battery-powered radios managed far better. The blackout was a wake-up call, teaching Americans the importance of emergency power and light sources, a lesson that still drives preppers to stock generators and solar backups today. 4. The 3 Mile Island Accident, 1979. When a nuclear power plant malfunctioned in Pennsylvania, thousands of residents were forced to evacuate amid fears of radiation exposure. The panic revealed how unprepared most people were to leave their homes at a moment's notice. Families with pre-packed evacuation bags, what we now call bug-out bags, were far better able to cope. This event made many Americans realize that prepping wasn't just about long-term food, it was also about having the ability to get out fast with essentials in hand. 3. The Chernobyl disaster, 1986. Half a world away, when a nuclear reactor exploded in Ukraine, entire cities were evacuated permanently. Families fled with little more than the clothes on their backs. Millions across the globe watched in horror as radiation poisoned the land. Chernobyl proved that disasters aren't always temporary. They can permanently alter the places we live. Preppers worldwide began focusing on radiation preparedness, stocking iodine tablets, Geiger counters, and long-term food storage in case evacuation lasted months or even years. 2. Hurricane Katrina, 2005. When Katrina hit New Orleans, it wasn't just the storm that devastated lives, it was the collapse of infrastructure. People were stranded on rooftops, trapped in the Superdome, and waiting days for rescue. For many, there was no clean water, no electricity, and no food. Families that had stored supplies, backup power, or evacuation plans were the exception. Katrina became a defining moment for modern American prepping, showing that government help may not arrive in time, and that personal preparedness can mean the difference between life and death. 1. The COVID-19 pandemic, 2020. When COVID-19 spread globally, it exposed just how fragile supply chains were. Store shelves went empty, especially for essentials like toilet paper, canned food, and disinfectants. Suddenly, millions of people realized how unprepared they were for even a short-term crisis. But preppers, they already had what they needed. Food storage, sanitation supplies, and backup plans made them resilient while others scrambled. COVID didn't just validate prepping, it mainstreamed it, inspiring millions to start stockpiling and planning for the future. From famine to floods to pandemics, history has proven one thing: disasters always strike, but the prepared survive. If you found this countdown eye-opening, make sure to hit subscribe. We post new videos 3 times a week on history, politics, and survival lessons from the past. Thanks for watching and see you in the next countdown.